Hello, guys, and welcome once again to another week. And last week was an okay week, and this week we hope it's going to be much better. Now, so last week we told you guys, based on the analysis that we have here, we told you guys that gold was most likely going to push down lower into the zone, and then, or probably just continue to push higher from here. And as you can see, price didn't actually come down low into this zone. Price just shot up and created a gap over here. And when it created this gap over here, price shot up, came back down into that gap, tested it, and then continued this move up. So we're right about our analysis and the direction. Now, so what's going to happen this new week? So guys, first of all, make sure you subscribe to this channel and like this video and share with people so that they can also find this content. Now, actually, I had already done this video, but my country happened to me, so I had to reshoot this video again, if you understand what I mean. And I've already put a lot of content out there, a lot of information on this video, and it's just sad I have to reshoot it. I hope I got to put everything again. Now let's start from the higher time frame because there's something I need to show you there. Let's start from the monthly. Now looking at the monthly, we can clearly see that gold, like I've always been saying, has always been on a bullish move, right? But gold has significantly moved up already this year, starting from January. It has significantly moved up. In fact, it has moved the most, more than any other years, right? And it's possible that we might start to see a little bit of a slow move upwards, right? Because gold has significantly moved up already. Now, I remember that when we did this analysis earlier, before this new month started, we told you guys that this previous month had closed like a middleman, right? And there's something I need to tell you guys about this middleman candle. Whenever you see a middleman like this, whether in the monthly, weekly, daily, 1 hour, whatever time frame, right? This is what you call a middleman. And how do you know this? You see that the wicks are much more larger than the body itself. Yeah, it has a smaller body compared to the wicks, right? The top wick and the bottom wick. It must have a top wick, it must have a bottom wick, and they must be both larger than the body itself and probably almost the same, right? So that's a middleman. It's almost like an indecision candle, but it's not an indecision candle. It's clear that price is already moving upwards, right? Because it has a body, a clear body. All right, so most times when you see this kind of middleman candle, I hope I'm explaining this well for you guys. What usually happens is that price would come back down. If it's a bullish candle, right, price will come back down to the lower part of that body, and once it retests that lower part of that body, price will continue to push up. And most times when you go and check for and look for a middleman, you see that happen, probably especially on the lower time frame. All right, you see that happen a lot. So looking at this, I knew that price will most likely come down here, but it's like I didn't take note, I didn't mark it, right? And so because I didn't mark it, when price finally came back down there, I missed my entry just by an inch, and then price left me and pushed higher, and so that made me enter price at a much more higher point where I had to come out. If I had entered here, I probably would have still been holding trade, right? But if I'd marked the spot out, and I remember, that's why it's always good whenever you're starting a trade, getting on your chart, you need to really go back to the higher time frames, right? Don't miss that. So you see everything on the bigger picture, right? You know exactly where price is at and what price is about to do. Now, if I had done that, I probably, even if I had missed this, I would have entered more aggressively on the trade because I know that price is going to move back up into this zone at least. And if it wants to go higher, it will break higher and probably even clear this entire week here. It will fill this entire week up, right? So as you can see, price actually pushed up higher and kept pushing up. All right, but I missed that trade. But anyway, that's that. So looking at the monthly, we can see that price is still bullish now. And price got down here, price pushed higher and is pushing higher, and it looks like it has resumed this bullishness, right? So what are we going to be looking out for now? Let's get down to the weekly. Now I think I've talked a lot. I hope this was helpful. Hope you found this quite helpful. All right. So I wanted to show you guys an example of some middlemen, right? But you can go back, go look for them, and then you see that price most times will come back to that lower part of the body. If it doesn't really get there, it will get close, right? So let's go back to this. Now on the weekly, we can see the prices now are bullish. This week closed quite bullish, but you can see this minor rejection, right? You can see this little rejection at the top of this candle. All right, so what are we going to be looking out for now? The first thing, like I said in the previous video, that got deleted, I had to reshoot this video, was that price would most likely come back down to the 50% level of this current week's candle, right? That's the first thing. And the 50% level, as you can see, is around this level 3299. And I already have it drawn, so it's there, this level over here. Now the second level that we need to take note of is the support level over here. As you can see, let me put this so you see this level. Yeah, you see that level, that's a support area, right? So price will most likely come down into that zone, and then price could push up from there. So we could see price come down into this zone right here and then push up from there, right? That's the second level we need to take note of. All right, now if you can see, we have a trend line drawn, a trend line down, top trend line and a bottom trend line, right? And price already looks like it has broken out. We'll see that on the lower time frame clearer. All right, so these are the two levels we need to take note of. Now we're not going to really be looking for sells on this trade, because we're going to stick to looking for majorly buys, but that doesn't mean if we don't see a good selling opportunity we won't take it. I'm trying to be very fast now, guys. So on the daily, let's go down to the daily. Let's see. Now, what I think now is price might not come down to that weekly 50% level, right? Price might not come down to that point. That might be too far for it. Looking at the structure, the market structure and the way price has formed currently, price might not get down to that point. So when you get down to the weekly, you still see this massive bullish candle, right? And this is looking quite healthy, so price will most likely keep pushing higher. That's what I expect. Price will most likely keep pushing higher, but price will pull back down into a point where it's going to now continue the move from. Now, what point are we going to be waiting for? We've already marked two levels on the weekly, which was the 50%, which is over here at the lowest, and then that support area, which is where this line is currently, right? Now, but if you look at the daily, you would see how that there is a wick over here, this previous candle wick, right? There's a wick over there, and a lot of times price tend to move into that wick level and reject from there. So we need to take that into consideration as well. We need to mark that level, right? Because price could actually come down into that zone and then start to react from that zone. But would that level hold? Now, how do we know if that level is going to hold or price is going to come down lower? Now, we can also mark the 50% level of this daily candle. Let's see where that falls into. We can look at it. Now, if you look at this, you see that 50% level of this daily candle, let me put this well, 50% of this, the level of this daily candle matches the support area that we drew over here on the weekly. Can you see that? It matches the support level that we drew over here on the weekly. So that is very good. That is very good. I would like to put a line there, but let's just put a line. I'm going to still delete some of these lines, right? So that we at least know what we're looking at. So that's that. So which one are we most likely which one do you think price will most likely respect? Now price could respect this week over here, but price could actually pull down lower. Now we need to go to a lower time frame to see things clear, so we now know what price is actually going to do. Now let's go down to the 4-hour. Now looking at the 4-hour, remember we have a trend line that is drawn here already. You can see this trend line, this top trend line over here. Price has broken this, and you can see this bottom trend line that price respected from, right? So it's clear that price has broken through this trend line, right? So we need to see price push back lower for price to now continue its move up from, right? And as you can see this bearish candle over here. Hope I'm giving you guys this. Now guys, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. All right, it's very important. Now you can see this bearish candle over here on the 4-hour, right? So it's giving us an indication that price will most likely drop, and that's good. So price is going to drop to a point where we can now buy from. Now what do we have here? Now remember, this line, this level over here is the 50% level of the previous week, of the week that just closed. This level over here is the weekly support that we draw out over here, and then just right above this weekly support over here is the 50% level of the daily candle, which you can see is very close to this level. That is very, very good. And then we have this week over here, this level over here of the previous day, the day before the last day that closed, the week that we marked out and we say price could reject from. Now if you look at this clearly, you see that okay, that this level will most likely not hold, because this previous daily 4-hour candle already broke down below it, and that looks like a good level for a liquidity zone, right? A place for price to come down to take liquidity from. So this level might not hold, but we need to go down to a lower time frame, right? And if you look at this 4-hour candle, you see that there is a fair value gap over here which I've already drawn. There's a fair value gap over here. let me get the drawing, the rectangle drawing. Now look at this, there's a fair value gap over here, right? Very good. So it's most likely that price will come into this fair value gap and probably drop lower to this trend line, and then we're going to see a bounce from that zone. So it's very most likely that that's what's going to happen. We're going to see price pull down into this level, and we'll see price reject from there, right? So this level over here would most likely not hold. So let's go down to a lower time frame so we see things better. All right. Now, mind you, I took a buy from here, and when I took a buy from here, that was on Friday. I had to come out from the trade when the price had moved up like this at this point, right? Because I expected the price would actually pull back down, which price did. I wanted price to pull back down into the same zone again so I could re-enter a second trade again, but price didn't, so price continued back upwards, which I think I understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to create liquidity for it to grab. All right, so let's go down to the 1 hour. Now looking at the one, I'm going to delete some of this so it doesn't look messy to you guys. So remember, this is the fair value gap over here. Now this is, remember, we're going to delete this weekly, 50% weekly, because I don't think price is going to get down there. It's too far. Price will most likely reach that level. Now this other line here is the weekly support that we took note of. Now price will most likely get into that zone. Now you can see this was where I bought this rectangle box over here. You can see I bought from there. So I'm actually hoping the price will actually come back down into that zone. All right, and then right over here on top of this, you can see the daily 50% level that we drew. All right, so price will most likely come into that zone. Price will most likely come into that zone. This is the daily 50% fib. Okay, so price will most likely come into that zone right over there. Then this level that we drop here this week, as you can see, price already has created liquidity for it to grab over here, so this level will most likely not hold. I don't see that level holding, so we remove that. So price will most likely drop and take liquidity from here, come into this fair value gap over here, right? So I've already marked the line for the fair value gap. It will come into this fair value gap over here, and once it does that, price will come probably into this trend line, and then we'll start seeing rejections from here. Now, at what point would you want to buy from this level? At what point? Now let's remove this other one because we already know where price is coming to. So I think okay, let's remove it. Let's remove it. I already mapped that area, so it's not bad. Yeah, it's good. That's good. I already have a line there, funny enough. So a small line there, which is in 1 minute or so lower time frame entry, right? So now we already marked this level for the 50% level for price to come down into, right? And as you can see, that this zone is looking quite solid because we have a trend line that price has broken, which price will most likely test to get down to retest. We have a trend line here that price that matches also with this level, this which price will most likely come down into this area or around here or even around here, right? So who knows? And then we have this fair value gap on the 4 hour over here, and we have this imbalance that it needs to fill, right? So and we have a demand structure over here, demand over here. So where could you actually be looking for your buys, right? So that's the question. Now you could actually get in on a buy from around here, and your stops could be somewhere around here below. You could actually get in on a buy around here, and your stops could be somewhere around this level, right? You can put your stops around this level, just at the either this low over here or at this low over here, just to be safe. Now if you look at that, that's going to be very wide. All right, that's going to be very wide, and I don't want to do that. Now you could take a trade from there, put your stops here, and then you could even set an order, a pending order, right? And that's not bad. You're going to still get a good risk to reward because this is going to really take price up, right? At least you can get a 1:10 on this. That's possible. But I like to trade on a very tight stop loss. This is like about what stop loss is this? This is a 65, I think. That's not bad. Is that 65? That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. 65 is not bad, but sometimes I can like to get an SL of, let's say, 25, 30, 20, 40, and thereabout. So what we could do is you could take a trade from there, or you could wait for price to even come lower. You can go to a lower time frame. Normally I love to stop this weekend analysis on the 4 hour, but because of I'm trying to show you guys this, I have to go to a much lower time frame. So now we could take a trade from there, right, like I said, and your stops could be somewhere here. All right, or you can even go down to a much lower time frame. Let's go to the 30. Let's see what it's looking like. Now you see this matches this with the same level, all right, on the 1 hour. So that's not bad. You can still take a trade from there, or you could actually, you see this line I drew over here, this 15 here, you can see it matches with this demand over here, which it has already been tested. So this is more solid so that you don't miss the trade. So once price taps into this point, you can actually take a trade from there so you don't miss it. But let's go down to the 15 minutes. Let's see if there's a tighter. Okay, good. That's the line. Let me go down to the 5 minutes. Like I said, I'm just trying to see if there's a what's this line. I think is on the 1 minute. Also, let's go down to the 3 minutes. Okay, yes. Let's see the 1 minute. All right. It's on the 1 minute. Now, price might not get there, right? Now you can see this line over here. This is an indecision candle on the 1 minute candle. Let me zoom in. Good. You can see I already drew this line over there. This is an indecision candle, and most times price respects this. So this on the 1 minute, an indecision candle, and you can see demand over here on the 1 minute, so that price has not tapped from, and you can see this fair value gap. So it's possible the price will come down lower into the zone. So now let's go back up to the, should I say the 1 minute, 1 hour, right? Let's go back to the 1 hour. Now you see, I'm really showing you guys how I normally would take my trades, right? So now if price comes down, like I said, into the zone, we could go in for a buy at around here, okay, and put our stops somewhere here or even here, right? We could put our stops somewhere there. Now, but if you want to make things tighter, if you want to make things tighter, you can wait for price to get into that zone. If you see that price is going lower and lower and lower, then you can get in right here, which has reduced your stop loss to about 30 pips thereabout. And if you want to even be more tight, you can go in right here, that 1 minute zone, which has reduced your stops to about 20 pips. You can see that. So even if you get in right here and then you start seeing the rejection upwards, that would give you an indication that you should start stacking in and probably enter more trades, because this level is most likely going to hold since it has given you the rejection from this 1 minute, right? But if you enter your trade from right here, the 1 hour, and then price continues to drop, you shouldn't be afraid, because you know that there is a 1 minute zone right there that price will most likely respect. Once you start seeing rejection from that zone, then you can enter in more trades. I don't like entering when you're already on the losing you're already losing money. But here now you could enter in. But what I'm just trying to say, I'm going to wait when price gets into this zone. I'll watch price reaction closely. If I see that price is going to push lower, then I'll wait for price to come probably into my zone, and then I'll enter from that zone, which is about 20 pip stops. And as you can see right here, back to the top is just about 20. It's about 1:20 already. And definitely price is going to push higher, and then we're going to see price push up, which can give us an a crazy, or what, a ridiculous amount of pips up with a ridiculous risk to reward, right? So imagine we're able to get this. Like I said, that is if we get it to that 1 minute, right? But price could also react from this very top, so we need to watch this closely. All right, so this is what I'm just going to be looking out for. This is what I'm going to be looking out for. We'll be looking for price to come into that level, and yeah, we'll be looking for price to come into that level. So that's that, guys. That's that. as that we're going to be looking for price to come into that level. So I'm just going to leave this here, so we'll see how everything plays out. Okay, so guys, I've already given you guys what I think you should be looking out for. It's that simple. It's that simple. Wait for price to pull back, take liquidity from here, and come into our zones and give us an opportunity to go in for the buys, and then we ride the buys. So hopefully it's going to be an amazing week. Hope you guys learned something. This is quite long. I hope it was helpful. And this is much more detailed than most of the other videos I usually would post. So that's it, guys. Hope you have an amazing trading week. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share with others so that they could see this and find if you find this very helpful. That's it, guys. Peace out, guys. Much love. And also, don't forget, you could also try to get the sales from this drop if you see a good opportunity, which I was actually looking for earlier, right? I was looking for a drop from here. So if you see a good opportunity for yourselves, you could actually take it as well. But focus majorly on the buys. Peace out, guys. Love.